sisters and sorors, it is with great pleasure that we present a discourse by a prominent member of AMORC. This address by the Reverend A. Taliaferro was originally presented at the International Rosicrucian Convention in San Jose, and it is entitled, A Mystic in a Modern World. His subject is most appropriate for members early in the work of the order and helpful as well for those in the advanced degrees. Father Taliaferro is the clergyman of a very large church in the southwest United States.
In the unfoldment of the understanding of the mystical student, one of the most stimulating and spiritually satisfying moments in all of life comes when the law of duality is realized for the first time. When one can look out upon the universe and see that everything that happens is positive and negative, the knowledge of the secret of the manifestation of life is made possible. The student is told in the course of his studies in our beloved order, AMORC, that everything is dual, consisting of a positive and negative, or an inner or outer nature. We are concerned in this discourse with the operation of this law in the life of the human being, and the great mystery of which we can become aware through the study of analogies as we observe them in the material world around us. The use of an analogy is the observance of what appears to be a principle, which operates on a level of understanding in the world around us, which enables us to understand that this law operates in us and gives us a realization of a philosophical principle concerning our own natures and our relationship to the universe. As one observes the manifestation of life in the material world, one is inclined to describe the world in terms of its outer manifestation only. The mystic is interested in the inner power, or intelligence, or life force, which makes that manifestation possible. The outer nature of a flower can be seen with the eyes and felt with the hands, but the inner nature of the flower is the energy and force and intelligence which holds the outer material body in being and causes it to appear to be alive. The bloom of a flower does not reach for the light or follow the sun, nor does the root go down where the water is, merely because there is a mechanical principle of causation, but because there is an intelligence or life force within the stem of the flower or the body of a tree which guides and directs to the source of life. Even on a lower level of manifestation, in the purely material world of the elements of the atomic world, this principle holds true and is revealed to the student in the early monographs of the order. The inner life of an oak tree manifests itself in the creation of an acorn, and in turn the principle of duality is the foundation upon which the life of the acorn is built. The body of the acorn can be felt and seen, but it could not possibly exist without an inner life intelligence which is stored up and exists within the body. When the acorn is buried in the ground, the life within is then manifested and eventually produces an oak tree. It is a simple matter to observe a caterpillar as it crawls along the ground, but it is an entirely different matter for the observant consciousness to be able to see within the caterpillar the life force and intelligence of a butterfly. The body of the caterpillar is destroyed and becomes a chrysalis, which in turn brings forth in a different manifestation the life contained within it. One of the most powerful symbols in the Christian New Testament is the great symbol of the seed. The Master Jesus uses the parable of the sower and over again points out that the seed is planted in the ground, that the body is buried and broken and destroyed, in order that the life contained within it might come forth. He points out that the kingdom of heaven is contained within the body, or objective consciousness of the individual, and that it is operating there continually, giving us our life and waiting to manifest itself fully in order that the individual consciousness might know the inner self and thereby have the experience of the consciousness of the cosmos. We do not have the time in this discourse to use further analogies, but it should be quite obvious to the thinker and observant one that the individual consciousness is dual in nature, and that the purpose of our studies, the use of our experiments and exercises, is to develop the awareness of the duality of consciousness. To use various terms to describe this quality, we use the terms of the outer self, the inner self, the individuality and soul personality, the objective and unconscious self, and so forth. But they all mean the same thing, whether we refer to the objective self-consciousness, or the inner cosmic consciousness. The human being is composed of a material body with its 5 senses, which we might refer to as the natural outer man. In other words, the child of nature is composed of the materials of nature or the material world. The inner self, the force or power or intelligence with its stored up memories of past ages, we might refer to as the soul personality, which gives the body life while it exists on the surface of the earth, and of which the outer consciousness can become aware when it reaches a certain point of evolution or sensitivity. The individual who is aware of the inner self might be referred to as a person with the cosmic sense. If he is not aware of the inner self, he is a person of mere material sense, or to use a homely joke, he is a person of nonsense, even though he has 5 senses, because he has no guiding principle from the cosmic sense. It should be quite obvious that the human race, through its long evolution, as it has developed the outer senses of the body and the objective intellectual nature, has been forced to use the trial and error method and has only slowly evolved to its present stage of understanding. The law of the survival of the fittest applies to this process of evolution for the simple reason that only the senses which are the most useful, ultimately for the good of the body and of the expression of the life force within, are preserved and developed to their highest state. Ultimately, when the evolutionary process brings the individual to a point of sensitivity and facility of use of the 5 senses and the objective intelligence, then the awareness of the inner self is made possible. Only then is the proper guidance of the outer self assured, for only then is the consciousness of the outer self capable of identifying itself with the universal consciousness. In addition, this moment is the first awareness of oneness with God, and constitutes the wonderful experience in the individual life of cosmic consciousness, at which moment one becomes aware of oneness with God and the universal life force and intelligence. It is this life force and intelligence which has brought the outer man into being in the first place. This is the reason we call it the life force, and in religion we call it God, the creator of all things. It is also the awareness of this same life force which redeems the outer man from a sense of separateness, or separation and loneliness, and the errors of his objective mind and the sin of a bad conscience. For this reason we call this same force the God of redemption. This awareness brings a wonderful realization of support and integration of all the faculties of the outer and inner self. And the third point of the triangle comes into the awareness of man in the realization of a God of love. This inner life force or intelligence in man, as well as in all other manifestations of life in the material world, is the only creative substance we know of in the universe. The outer man by himself is not creative and cannot be created, for only the inner man, the intelligence of the cosmic, can bring the universe into being, or any manifestation within the universe. In our objective senses, we are only the manifestations of the cosmic and have no power in and of ourselves, objectively, to create. We can create and manifest only insofar as we permit the inner self to create and manifest. We have no real intelligence within ourselves as individuals because each individuality is only a few years old. On the other hand, the inner self, the cosmic man, is the man of wisdom and understanding, and is thousands of years old, with untold countless experiences in the storehouse of memory. These experiences have been acquired through countless lives and manifestations through countless bodies. Those who are aware of the inner self actually constitute a new race. This new race is the race of the mystic. It cuts across the differences of color, nationality, and creed, and intellectual background and training, and brings together those who are prepared to enter into the consciousness of the cosmos. It is interesting to note here that the word mystic comes from 2 Greek words, one mystes, which means hidden, and the other mysterion, which means revealed. The ways and intelligence of the cosmic are hidden to the natural man, but are only known fully to the inner man. And when the outer man becomes sensitive enough, he too can participate in the knowledge of the inner man. At this moment, that which has been hidden becomes revealed. It should be obvious to one who is aware of the inner self that the problems of the world cannot be solved by the outer natural man alone. It is the power and intelligence of the inner self which is the saving grace of the world. The mystic is therefore truly the savior of the world. It is only he who can use this new quality in fortifying the world from destruction. This is precisely the reason why Jesus is referred to as the Savior of the world. In religion, the outer man is known as Adam, the parent of the race. The new man is known as Christ, or cosmic consciousness. Adam refers to the animal, emotional, intellectual self. The experience of rebirth comes to the one who is aware of the inner self for the first time. The most powerful symbol in the Christian consciousness, apart from the symbol of the cross, is that of the Easter egg. The outer self of the egg is a hard shell, and is the means by which the inner self is protected and permitted to grow to the point where it can be born. The inner self is given a new life at the moment of fertilization, and is permitted to grow according to the wisdom that exists within itself and by the power which resides therein. The outer self of the egg has no control over the inner self, and can only be the means by which the inner self is protected or mothered. The inner self of the egg grows by eating upon itself and following the wisdom which is inherent within the self. This wisdom and power is the urge to be, and by its own efforts to be, it grows and becomes what it must be. When the proper time comes, when the inner self has consumed all of its own substance in the maturing process, by its own efforts it breaks the shell and comes out into the new world of objectivity. The egg is no longer an egg but a chick. The two have always been, and yet they have always been two. The chick does not look like the shell of the egg, and yet the law of duality has worked perfectly in bringing the chicken into being. The individual human being is an egg. The outer objective shell, although sometimes it is a hard shell, will eventually be broken in order that the inner self might manifest itself into the objective world. The inner self consumes its own substance. In other words, the memory and the mental actions and experience of the self as they are contained in the world in its maturing process. And when the proper time comes, and the law of wisdom and cosmic power has done its part, the inner self breaks the shell of the outer self, and the individual is reborn. This is the moment in human life for which the whole human race has waited. It is the moment when the outer self realizes for the first time that all has been worthwhile. All the suffering, the pleasures, the experiences, the memories, the efforts, all have been used by the inner self, and now come back in realization in a transmuted form in the person of the matured inner self. They have been consumed and remade in the likeness of God or the cosmos. This, my friends, is precisely the reason why, for the outer self, at a certain moment when the inner self is waiting to be reborn, instruction and training and personal effort are the order of the day. The objective consciousness needs to be sensitized and carefully trained so that it can be made aware of the manifestation of the life within. It is a cosmic crime to allow the outer objective self to imprison the inner self after the time has come for the inner self to be born. The self within is crying for the chance to be born. It is urging, pressing, making the extreme effort to be. And this is the source of the personal experience of the mystical student of suffering and conflict, of doubt, and mental and emotional insecurity. The consciousness of self is torn between the unrelenting efforts of his own inner self to be, and the old habit patterns of the objective mind which have come from the environmental, traditional, constricted life of our forebears in the objective world. Only by complete surrender and self-giving can the outer self allow the love of God to be born within, and the work of the cosmic in us to be done. It is at this moment that the wonderful sense of confidence in life comes for the first time. Also, the ability to understand the affairs of the world. In addition, insight into a meaning and purpose in life is given to the objective self. And finally, a wonderful sense of compassion, a sense of oneness with one's environment and fellow creatures, comes into consciousness. Confidence, understanding, insight, and compassion. These words describe in part the unbelievable experience of cosmic consciousness, and are not at all a part of the experience of the outer self, but come only when there is the realization of union between the outer and the inner self. Confidence takes away for the first time in human life the sense of fear or the unknown. In its place it gives courage and daring and the realization that cosmic law fulfills. It brings with it the ability to use the power of life with assurance that everything will be what it should be because the intelligence of the cosmic is perfect. The fear which has paralyzed us from the earliest moments of our life and has caused us to cower in the face of opposition and conflict suddenly melts with the cosmic sense of confidence. We know in this due sense that God is love, that the cosmic is true love, and that all the changes of life, even though the objective self cannot look into the future and tell what they will be, are the means by which wisdom and power and love are manifested, and the life of the mystic is fulfilled. The unsettling in consciousness, which has been the experience of the mystic in his early days, now is realized to be the means by which changes in consciousness take place, and the cooperation with these changes is made possible through the confidence in the cosmos. We suddenly realize that some of the ideas that we have had all of our life are simply not true. And because of these mistaken notions, we have done many things we would not have done had we known better. But we also realize that only by making these mistakes have we come into the experiences which have prepared our outer self for the coming of cosmic consciousness. The sense of guilt, therefore, disappears with the coming of confidence. All of this comes through understanding and brings to the individual mystic at this point of evolution the desire to go out into the world and convert the world to our way of thinking. We know by understanding that it is only by evolution and not by revolution that permanent change can be brought. Only the utmost in intellectual and emotional stability can be of service at this time in the mystical life. All of the urges and desires and ideas which come to the newborn mystic must be interpreted with this sense of stability and understanding. The world will look upon the mystic as an aberrated personality if this understanding is not given the opportunity to work. Because the new cosmic understanding brings with it a tremendous sense of responsibility, there is also the assurance that cosmic law will fulfill. And in the fulfillment of cosmic law, we are assured of a place in the world, in the scheme of things, and in the life of those around us. We therefore do not have to dominate, or be over-assertive, or urge our new way of life upon other persons. Our responsibility is to make it possible for others to perceive and know that there is a new life within us. Cosmic insight brings with it the ability to look into the hearts and lives of those around us and the environment they create, enabling us to help them through our insight into their place in life. This insight, together with compassion and understanding, gives us a tremendous desire to help them, a feeling for their suffering and yearning. And since fear has disappeared from our consciousness, we are able to look upon them always with a desire to know what they really are saying and doing from within, rather than from any judgment of their outer action. We must always ask ourselves when dealing with others, what is this person really saying to me spiritually? What does he really mean by his actions? Does he really intend to let me know that he is asking for help and that he is in desperate need of encouragement and friendship? Is this person sincere or insincere? Is he motivated in what he's doing or saying by the true desire to be someone or to be of service? In this matter, true insight sometimes can convert what might appear to be destructive actions of hostility, jealousy, and envy into actions which really show a tremendous state of suffering on the part of the individual. We are then able to help and do it with the understanding and compassion which comes only from the inner self. The true meaning of any given situation can come only from the soul personality which has true insight. This is mystical knowledge. It is what we call truth. With the above factors working in the mystical life, the mystical student then has at all times the powerful desire to do and think and say the right thing under all circumstances. Because it is only by this realization that the mystic in his outer nature, in the objective world, can reveal and make known to the world the true meaning of cosmic law. It is only by true compassion that the mystic is able to endure the long and arduous pathway to the end of his mystical journey. This journey is as long as the objective life in the material world, and the experience of rejection, misunderstanding, hatred, jealousy, and envy on the part of the world can be endured over a long period of time only if there is the presence within the self of true compassion. There are undoubtedly many moments in the mystical life of every student when there is present the temptation to give up and to say, what is the use? I am not enjoying life. Life is so short. Why should I make myself give up the pleasures of this life for an ephemeral state of which I can know nothing at the present time? True compassion holds the student on the path and causes him to work arduously and relentlessly to overcome all weaknesses of the objective self, to train the outer and inner self to operate in the manner in which they should, to catalog all experiences and knowledge, and have them ready for instant use in our work in the world. This intellectual and emotional and spiritual training of the will can be a most wonderful experience when it is done with true compassion, true insight, true understanding, and true confidence. If these cosmic qualities are not present, the person becomes selfish and hard, and his personality is distorted as it operates and presents itself in the affairs of the world. The mystic lives in the realization that he is being of service, and not with the attitude that he is a superior individual and that he is going to show the world a few things. All of this adds up to the realization which can be had in one wonderful word, and this word is inspiration. The outer self of the mystic, as it works under inspiration, is living in two worlds at the same time: the world of objectivity, the environment of the outer self, and the world of the soul personality, the inspiration, the compassion, the love, the sense of power and understanding of the inner self and the cosmic. We have the realization that the cosmic is breathing itself into us physically, mentally, and spiritually at every moment of our lives. This is the cosmic sense of life, light, and love. There is no more wonderful experience in life than the life of inspiration. All truly great things have come from inspiration, all new ideas, all new discoveries, when the outer self, through work and preparation and discipline, has come to the moment when the cosmic can reveal the idea or discovery to the objective mind. In inspiration, the objective self is able to will with an assurance that brings sharpness to the focus of the things of life, and decisions and conclusions become comparatively easy. There is no doubt because there is confidence. There is no loneliness because there is insight. There is no fear because there is understanding. There is no hardness and superiority because there is compassion. Inspiration is the reward of all the work and effort put forth by the mystic over a period of many incarnations. It is the payment given to the worker who is asked by the master to go into the vineyard. The reward or payment for all life is the same for all persons. It is the penny referred to in the parable of the vineyard as told by the Master Jesus. It is a reward of true inspiration. Inspiration permits the outer self to free the inner self, so that the cosmic energy and all the various environmental factors of life, intellectually, emotionally, morally, and psychically, can create as the occasion demands. Is it not obvious that this requires the utmost in flexibility, the utmost in the ability to adjust and to respond to the right word and the right action, to show forth the right understanding under all circumstances of life? It then becomes apparent that the mystic be brutally honest with himself. He must face up to all his weaknesses and be conscious of his powers as well. The mystic is not surfeited with false pride, going around with piety, insisting that he is not worthy, for he knows that by the very process of the evolution of his inner and outer self, he is worthy when he gives himself to these wonderful laws. He does not hesitate to use cosmic law to invoke the blessings of the cosmic and the inspiration of the inner self into all the affairs of life. There is then a minimum of distortion of values, because this process takes place not for the pleasure of the self alone, but for the benefit of mankind and the blessing of the world around him. It is therefore necessary for the mystic to be conscious in all honesty of his weaknesses, but it is even more necessary for him to be more conscious of his virtues and strong points of character. It is necessary to become aware of the fine power of discrimination. Through experience, judgment is developed, and discrimination in the use of cosmic law and the fine points of human life become most important. So often the student becomes, because he is so afraid of making a mistake in life, is afraid to do anything, and only by discrimination can he master enough courage on many occasions in his life to do anything at all. The mystic is not afraid of making a mistake, because he knows that if his motive is right, the cosmic will cause all things to work out as they should. Discrimination causes the mystic to permit the cosmic to work at its own pace and in its own way. Cosmic law works slowly, and only on those occasions in life when there is a culmination of many factors in human experience does it appear that cosmic law is operating at a fast pace. However, cosmic law grinds exceedingly fine the many experiences of life, for the mystic creates a most beautiful panorama of human experience. The mystic cannot hide his light under a bushel, nor can he keep what he has from the knowledge of others. He cannot rest in a newfound peace profound and retreat from the world in order to enjoy alone his mystical experience. It is necessary to use a tremendous sense of personal militancy in going out into the world and advancing upon the problems which he sees around him. One of the most disconcerting of these problems is the misunderstanding and the jealousy which will exist in the hearts of those around him. This is a source of much consternation in the life of the new student and causes even more suffering and conflict when he realizes that even those who are closest to him will be the persons who will, because they do not understand, create contention and will make fun of or mock or criticize him because of his newfound knowledge. This, to be perfectly frank, is one of the great problems in our lodges and chapters. Often the students of our beloved order, since they are merely human beings, do not understand each other, and therefore, because they live in the old habit patterns of the outer objective self, create jealousy and vanity and pride within the organizations, which should bring nothing but life, light, and love to the members therein. It is important to remember that all of this is eminently and ultimately worthwhile. So worthwhile that people will come to you for help. You do not have to seek for people to force your newfound knowledge upon them. You do not have to lavish your mystical power upon situations and persons with whom you come in contact. It is not your business to interfere with the personal lives of others. You have enough to do to take care of your own life. People will come to you for help. Those who are ready and willing to receive help will be more than glad to ask for it and will be ready to accept help in the right spirit. The inner self of the one who asks for help will gravitate naturally, according to cosmic law, to the inner self of one who can give that help. Thus cosmic law fulfills perfectly. As you look forward in your life to the end of this incarnation, it should be most obvious to you that you will have to give up your body, your money, your intellect, your feelings, your personal relationships, everything you own. You cannot take them with you into the cosmos. Therefore, it should also be most obvious that it could be the source of utmost pleasure to give all these things to the cosmic here and now, while the individuality is still alive and can be used to manifest the divine cosmic law. By surrendering the self now, you can make it possible for another human being to grow and understand. Let us unite in invocation. O wonderful, beautiful kingdom of light, shed down upon these humble souls thy beam of cosmic consciousness. Reach down and touch the souls that wait, and stir their minds with thoughts divine. Cast out all evil and all sin, and take into the world of love our hearts and psychic selves, that thus merged, our selves shall be but self of God. So mote it be.